Hey YouTube, right here. Alright, my last couple videos have been pretty heavy and been fairly negative. So let's go ahead and try to balance that equation a little bit and talk about something positive. As I said in a previous video, I'm really having my first foray into Terraria. Sorry, for some odd reason the name was escaping me. But like I said, I think it's an absolutely fantastic game from what I've experienced so far. And I want to talk about a few things that I've already noticed that they've done right. First off, the level of engagement in the game is absolutely fantastic. It encourages you to go ahead and explore and not just, pick a direction, run in it, and just basically explore the surface. There's good reason to dig down. In fact, you have to dig down to really progress in the game. You actually have to basically dig down to hell. But they introduce different mechanics for you to be able to move around. Like, currently my character has an item that allows them to double jump, which may not sound all that much, but the jumping level in this game is already pretty hefty, and so having a second jump in the air allows you to traverse a lot of things that you would normally have difficulty doing before. There's another item that you can get that I've gotten on an alternative character that I played with for a little bit, where when you break vines, usually you don't get anything from them. But if you have a certain item equipped, it actually drops what's called vine rope. And that may not sound like a whole lot, but in early game, that is one of the most indispensable items that you can have, because getting up and down can be a little bit of a chore, and it can be very wood intensive. And rope is just a lot simpler. It takes up less room. Well, kind of. But it's just much more convenient to use it. Another big thing that they have that I think that they've done exceedingly well is it's a classless system, but people have come up with basically classes, because you've got a magic system. For those who don't play, basically the way that you increase the amount of magic that you have, there aren't any levels or anything, but during the nighttime, falling stars can come down. When you collect 3 of them, you can craft them into basically a star diamond thing, and it's a consumable. When you consume it, it gives you an extra 20 magic. And magic can be a little bit on the overpowered side here. Like, I currently have a staff that I had to spend some silver on and some sapphires on, but it does 17 magic damage, but it costs 5 mana every time I cast with it. So there's a little bit of a balance there. But if I go ahead and I play on this character and get enough magic up there, I can basically attack indefinitely with with the thing. And the magic regeneration rate is actually pretty high, so you're good to go there. At least from what I've seen from videos and so on and so forth. I actually haven't been using that yet. I'm perfectly fine with the spear that I got, which I ended up getting a godly spear. And I'm being quite literal. That's its actual little trait, is godly. It has bonus damage on it, bonus knockback, and a little bit of extra speed. So that's a pretty cool thing. Now, another thing that they've done right is they've actually got it to where you can kind of progress through the game at your speed based off of your experience level. Someone like me who's new, it's going to tend to progress a little bit more slowly. They're not going to have the feel of the game. They're not going to have those mechanics quite down pat. So they're going to progress a little bit more slowly. But someone who's played the game before is going to be like, okay, I got this, and this to do. if they're starting up a new world. But here's another cool thing. Unlike other games where, you know, you start up a world and then that's your character in that world. If you start up a new world, you have to start up a new character. That isn't the case with this one. You can start up several worlds and actually have specific functions for them. And you can take items back and forth between worlds by having them on your character and just loading in your character into the other world. And it's very, very simple to do. The game's very lightweight because of its 2D nature. It doesn't really seem to be all that taxing. So that's definitely a positive right there. They definitely got it down pat as far as that goes. But another awesome thing is weapons having those different traits means even if you get the same weapon in two different worlds, they're going to be different. And I know that there's a way that you can go ahead and temper weapons later on, but I don't know the details of it. But I know that there's a way you can do that and basically change up what modifiers they get and everything. But I'm not there yet, so I'm not experienced enough for it. But another cool thing about it is every night you have a chance of having what's called a blood moon event. And basically, anyone who's played any game that has a quote-unquote blood moon event, you know that there's a lot more hostile mobs that are a little bit tougher to take down, and they spawn in mass and they swarm. It's chaotic, it's fun, it's kind of terrifying at some points, and there's some points where you're all like, I'm gonna die. But, I mean, it's a 1 in 7 chance each night. And the thing is the day-night cycles on this are actually pretty long. I experienced my first blood moon today, and it was actually a really fun experience. But I also already had my spear, so I was able to fend off a lot of things. I also got a pretty decent ranged weapon, which was nice. But yeah, and as far as getting extra health, you actually get rewarded by going out and exploring and mining with extra health when you come across health crystals. Basically what it is, you mine up the crystal, you use the crystal, and you get an extra 20 health. That really, really works nice as far as way of you taking your time and getting your progression down. You have different armors that you can make. Sometimes it's a little bit of a toss-up of what you want to do. Like, do you really want to use that platinum to make a piece of armor and get that extra couple points of defense? Or are you wanting to go ahead and instead of using it on that piece of armor, make yourself an awesome pickaxe that might have a little bit of speed or something? You know, it comes down to that. And when you craft items, they still get those random modifiers. So you might go ahead, craft a pickaxe thinking, alright, it'll be okay. And then all of a sudden it gets this awesome modifier on it that just takes it up to the next level, and it's better than the next tier up would have been. So having that little bit of randomness there is kind of nice. But, I mean, that is a double-edged sword. Sometimes you get an absolutely crappy modifier on it. But the game definitely rewards you for exploring, and that's one of the best things that I like about the game. It actually makes you want to head out and not just hang around your base, basically. The enemies are pretty varied. The combat's fairly simplistic as far as mechanics go. So far from what I've experienced is you've got zombies which kind of meander towards you at varying speeds, and they'll jump every once in a while. Pretty easy to take out. You've got these flying enemies that you can go ahead and sometimes have a hard time with, especially if they come up on you and you're on a platform out over a huge drop, and them hit you, and them not really typically being a threat, but them hitting you, knocking you off the platform, and it ends up in you dying. Speaking of falling and so on and so forth, there are even items in there that give you traversable abilities. Like, I actually have an item that allows me to sprint, which is something that you typically can't do in the game. You run at a set rate. But this allows you, after you've run for a couple seconds, to basically double or triple your speed. I'm not sure exactly how much faster it is, but definitely makes it so you can win a foot race against someone who doesn't have those. And the thing is, you can have multiple items equipped to your character at a time. I think you have like 5 accessory slots. There's another thing that they have, which is basically a hook shot. Let's not mince words on it. But there's a hook shot that you can go ahead and do. You can go ahead and end up making one that allows you to go ahead and hook to walls or ceilings or whatever, which really makes it so you can parkour on that next level, especially if you got a double jump. Like with my character, I can go ahead and double jump, then grapple onto a wall, jump off the wall, do another double jump, grapple onto another wall. But I also have another item to where if I want to, I can actually, let go of the grapple if I need to go down, and I can actually slide down the wall slowly by basically gripping onto the wall. I have another item that ups my magical damage and my crit rate, but also it gives me an extra 20 MP. There's a bunch of different things that you can do, and you can really customize your character and fine-tune your character depending on what items you have available to you. The merchants are actually useful, which is a big thing, and they're not just useful at the beginning of the game. They basically remain useful throughout, especially the random merchants that show up. And the random merchants don't only sell utility items or weapons or whatever, they also sell vanity items. So if you have some extra money, you can go ahead and do that. Have an extra way of distinguishing your character. You also have pets. I ended up getting an awesome first pet. My pet that I have is this basically floating glowing orb that sticks around me, but it gives off light. And in this game where you're exploring the depths of caves and all that, but having to be ready for combat at any given moment, having that light is a really big bonus, because you can go ahead and run around while still having your weapon equipped instead of having to have a torch out or something like that, and be ready to go. I know that you can hold down the shift key to basically hold out a light source, but the thing is that still limits you, because you got a finger constantly on the shift key, and it's kind of a pain in the ass, and it makes it so you're a little bit sluggish on certain reaction times, at least for me. But you've also got just regular vanity pets that don't actually give off light. I don't think they have any pets that actually help you out in combat, really. But the ones that give off light definitely help you out as far as the exploring aspect anyway. But having even the vanity pets, again, it's a way of setting you apart, and it's a way of marking certain achievements that you've done, certain points in the game that you've reached, just as much as weapons or armors can be. Now, one thing that I wish they would do a little bit differently is have it where where ally NPCs don't open and close your doors during the nighttime or during a blood moon. I had that happen during that blood moon, and now if I had only had one open and be able to take care of that door, then go shut it, go over to the other door, take care of what was going on over there, bounce back and forth, my life would have been much more simple. But those dumbass NPCs, who can be killed, by the way, decided, they want to go out for a midnight stroll during a blood moon. And so they kept the other doors open constantly, letting monsters in. Luckily, most of the NPCs were up and out of the way, so it got to the point where we didn't have to really worry. But the two NPCs that were down on the ground level were just being real assholes about the whole thing. And they're not attacking anywhere near enough to make up for the inconvenience. So that's one thing I wish that they could do. Either that or have it where you can go ahead and use a bit of rope and tie them up and throw them into a corner or something. You know, what the hell? You know, why not? I mean, I think that would be a pretty cool thing. But as far as the NPCs are concerned, it's kind of cool because you have to do certain things to get the NPCs. And that's something that I'm not used to seeing anymore. Usually NPCs just show up when it's convenient for whatever narrative or level of gameplay you're currently at. So you having to go through and actually do certain things to activate the NPCs, to get them to move in, that's pretty cool. In fact, for the fishing NPC, you actually have to go all the way out to a ocean, which there's an ocean on either side of your map, and that is a long run. If you say you want a large world, that is a very long run. And you can go ahead, talk to him, and then once you've talked to him, you're able to have him end up moving in. My partner that I'm playing with actually went ahead and did that, so luckily I didn't have to make that run through those absolutely horrible higher level areas. He's much more experienced at the game than me, so I'm letting him take care of that higher end stuff at this point, while I'm going out and basically gathering resources, exploring caves, and just getting a general feel for the game. There's actually, because of the random nature of the game, some pretty hilarious stuff can happen. Like I ended up firing an arrow at an enemy, and it ended up knocking the enemy back. I didn't see what was behind the enemy, and it ended up knocking the enemy back onto a little pressure thing, and there were explosives in the rocks underneath of me and my partner, and we ended up both dying. And we were both wondering what the hell happened. He was actually recording it, and he went back and looked at it, and all of a sudden I just hear him start dying laughing over Discord. He's all like, "You shot an enemy onto a TNT plunger, and the TNT was right underneath of our feet." And so it was pretty hilarious. And like I said before, you know, you have difficulties set to your character as well as to the world. So, like, you can go ahead and have the world automatically start off in hard mode. I don't recommend that for anyone who's even remotely new to the game. I highly do not recommend that unless you're wanting to skip a lot of the low tier stuff because you're an experienced player and you have a character that already has some of the gear that you're going to be bringing into that new world. But you also have difficulty for your character, and I love that aspect, the dual difficulty level. It really makes it nice for, so more experienced players can have that higher challenge while still playing with someone who might be less experienced and not have that have the need for that extra bit of risk or challenge. And you can go ahead and go up in 3 stages with your character. You've got your softcore, which you just drop money. But the thing is when I say just drop money, it's not me downplaying it, because losing basically half of your money when you die really sucks. But then you have the next one up where you drop items, where you drop your items. That is devastating, because the thing is there are some items that you can't craft, that you have to find in chests and so on and so forth, and if you lose those items and you're way the hell out there, there's a good chance they might despawn before you get back. And even if you are able to get back, whatever was there that killed you might be sitting there camping your dead body, along with your pile of stuff. And so that's a big issue in and of itself. Me and the person that I'm playing with, we've both died several times. I'm on softcore mode, so is he, because we're just playing it for fun. Normally he plays it on, like, if your character dies, your character dies. You have to make a whole new character all over again. It's kind of like with Minecraft and how your entire world gets deleted when you're on hardcore mode. Except it's just your character, not your world. So that's kind of a nice thing in and of itself. So basically whatever you had in your chests and all that, you can still go ahead and get those after spawning your new character in. But yeah, I absolutely love the different difficulty levels that they have in it. Definitely makes the game very playable for multiple people. In fact, we're planning on bringing in a couple of other people. I'm trying to get a few of my old clanmates from ARC to come on in, a few of my tribe mates. But they're also kind of wanting to do 7 Days to Die, which I gotta admit, I'm definitely interested in that game. And if they go ahead and start playing that, I'll definitely have to go ahead and buy it, or at least try to get the money together to buy it and join them, because that's one that I've definitely wanted to play, but I don't want to play it alone. It definitely looks like one of those games that's better experienced with friends or acquaintances, or hell, even random people. But it definitely seems like one of those experiences that as a single player would probably be a little bit lackluster. But no, as far as Terraria is concerned, I think they actually really have a good thing going. Hopefully they keep up the good work. Hopefully they don't screw anything up on it. Hopefully they keep adding more to the end game as opposed to trying to add stuff to the middle game. I've seen a lot of games try to do that, and all it does at that point is make it so there's more shit that you're not doing. And that's always a sad thing to see. Whereas adding to end game, and I'm not saying they can't add anything to the middle or the beginning. In fact, that's kind of a good thing to do, so that way when people start up new characters, they have new things that they can do. But adding to the end game, I think they should definitely prioritize that. That's the only concern that I have with the game. But, I mean, that's just more of one of those kind of sinking gut feelings as opposed to something that's actively bad happening right now. Because it seems like they really know what they're doing and how to keep adding different progressions to the game. So, as far as right now, so far this game, like if I was to give it a rating, so far it's a 10 out of 10. I've been having an absolute blast with it. I recommend anyone who hasn't played it to go ahead, download it, play it, because you're missing out on a really key part of life at this point. No, I'm not fanboying. I know that there are some issues with the game at some points. Like sometimes the AI is dumber than a bag of rocks. But, I mean, honestly, with the nature of the game, you kind of expect some less than intuitive AI at some points. But have a good night, everyone. Just wanted to end the night on more of a positive note instead of it just being negative all day. Because, yeah, there's a lot of negative things going on in the world, but you know what? If we concentrate too much on that and don't acknowledge the positives, well, then life just isn't worth living now, is it? So have a great night. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. And if you haven't played Terraria, play it.